What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. On today's episode, we're going to be covering the best ways to train your core and the way that you should start thinking about training your core on a regular basis. So when you hear about core training, most people are going to think about crunches, they're going to think about sit-ups, they're going to think about side bends or Russian twists. Well, those all have their time and place. I always tell people, hey, let's do that for maybe 10% of our core training. Your core should be stable. It should be able to stabilize and resist forces. So the idea of the core muscles is to keep the spine as safe as possible. So if we have free movement of the spine with not a lot of muscle engagement or muscle strength, when we get hit or when we lift heavy weight or when we go out and play our sport, we're either leaving leaks in the kind of the energy hub or we're leaving ourselves susceptible for injury. So when you think about core training, I want you to think about that spine almost being like a telephone pole, right? And that telephone pole, you know how you have those wires that are kind of pulled all the way back into the ground. And so when wind happens, or say a car hits it, that pole is going to stay really stable because those wires are pulling it back. Those are what those wires are, in this case, are the muscles of the core. So if those wires, if you were to snip them, or if you were to leave them very lax, they wouldn't be able to stabilize that spine or that pole very, very firmly. So that is why we train the core, and that's how we should start to think about our core training. So right now, I'm gonna walk you guys through the 4 different ways. So we have that anti-extension, we have anti-lateral flexion, we have anti-rotation, and we have anti-flexion. And notice I'm using the word anti, right? We are resisting those forces. And then once we do that, once you can really get good at resisting forces, we can really get really strong with the core, be able to up the physique look, be able to up the overall lifts and heavy weight that we're gonna be able to lift, whether it's on our deadlift, squat, presses, whatever it may be. And you're gonna notice with a stronger hub, a stronger core, you're going to see drastic transformations both in your physique and in the gym. First, we're going to talk about anti-extension. So this exercise she's going to do is just a plank walkout here. So the entire idea is to not let this part of the spine or the belly button extend and sag down to the floor. So we're really trying to hold her core nice and tight here as she extends out. So what she's going to do is she's going to walk her hands out and she's going to maintain this position with the core and then walk herself back in. So that's what we would call that anti-extensive force. She's going to walk out again, keeping her rib cage down, keeping her hips nice and level, and walking all the way back up. Now what most people will do is go ahead and tilt your pelvis down, almost like you're trying to sink your butt up. They'll either pick their butt up, right, or they'll let their belly button sag down to the floor too much, putting a lot of stress to the low back. So always want to think, keep the hips up, tuck the pelvis under, and hold that core nice and tight the entire time. Hey guys, really quick here, if you like this video and you like this channel, please go ahead and smash that like button, hit that subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. But without further ado, let's get right back into the video. All right, now the second part of core training is that anti-lateral flexion. So what we want to think about is our ability to resist us leaning over. So what she's going to do here, she's going to take this kettlebell and she's going to hold it up on a side. Now we use this a lot for carries or just holds, but what this weight is going to do is going to force her entire body to want to lean over, that spine to kind of flex over. So this is an anti-lateral flexion. Now I'm going to force her to say, hey, go ahead and stand all the way upright. And now this oblique, the low back and even a little bit a part of the front abdominals here are going to really engage and hold that. So we'll have her do marches, we'll have her walk, we'll have her just stand there. But the entire idea here is to really limit and not have you lean against this kettlebell, try and keep this off as much as possible. The more that you raise it off the body here, the more engagement you're going to have out of those obliques right here. All right, now we work our way into anti-rotation. So this is the aspect of not being able to, or resisting that rotation, say we get hit, or say for rotational athletes as we like to hit a baseball or tennis, right? So what she's going to do here is she's going to hold that cable all the way in the center of her chest, and she's going to really focus on not letting her body go ahead and push out. She's going to focus on not letting her body rotate herself back towards the cable stack. So she's really going to hold everything nice and tight. Those back extensions are going to turn on, and then rotational, the obliques, rotational muscles of the core are really going to turn on as she pushes out further. So what you're going to notice is the movement is going to get a lot harder as you extend what we call that moment arm. So the arms here, as they get longer, it's going to be a lot harder on her core to keep that nice and stable. Just make sure that you're pushing straight out from the chest, holding it nice and tight, and maintain good breathing. All right, now this last way that we train the core is what we call anti-flexion, right? So if we're holding anything on the front half of our body, the spine really wants to flex and hold. So if she's holding here, if she were just to let her muscles loose, she's obviously going to curve over and flex, putting a lot of stress on the low back, whether you're carrying things in the garden, whether you're carrying grocery bags, whatever it may be, this is going to put a lot of tension on the low back here. So what I want her to do is stand upright, and now these muscles in the back extensors really have to turn on, as well as the front half of the core. So as you hold here, we're really trying to stabilize that spine. Just like we talked about at the beginning of this video, the idea of the core is to really stabilize the spine as forces are put onto our body. So you guys just saw those 4 different ways that we like, or that I like, to train the core to really keep the core nice and stable. Again, having a nice strong foundation of the core is going to increase the overall weight that you're going to be able to lift in the gym, with your compound lifts like your deadlift, squat, and press. And it's going to build overall musculature. So we're going to look a little bit better. You're going to have that defined physique look. Don't always look for crunches to do the job. Leave that for maybe 5 to 10%, but your main majority of your core training should come from that stabilization stuff. And guys, those are only 4 exercises that I showed you. There's a bunch of different other exercises that you can look for and that I'll have queued up in the coming weeks. So if you guys like this channel, if you guys like this video, hit that like button